Come to me, all who labor and are heavily burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. As we come into our time of meditation, feel free to close your eyes if that's comfortable, or simply let your gaze soften. Wherever you're sitting, here in this sanctuary, at home, wherever you're listening, sense the places now where your body rests and invite in ease. Let your body surrender to that support. Notice if there's a place in your body holding weariness or tension, and shift and settle and scooch and exhale. And invite your body to ease and soften. I invite you to gently bring to mind a situation in your life that may feel like a heavy burden right now. A decision or a relationship, a sorrow. And in these next few minutes, in the silence that holds the presence of everything, feel your burden carried with compassion, lifted in love, and let your soul find rest. Breathing in, I come to my source. Breathing out, I lay down my burden. Come to my source. Lay down my burden. Breathing in, I rest in this moment, just as it is. Breathing out, I rest in this moment, just as it is. I rest in this moment, just as it is. Breathing in, I come to my source. Breathing out, I lay down my burden. I rest in this moment. I rest in my source. And I lay down my burden. I invite you to gently come back into this room, into this moment. Into our shared exhale. In the past 6 weeks, since my house was upended by flooding, I've packed and settled into temporary homes 6 times. With no end date on the near horizon, it's probably not surprising that finding rest for your soul seemed like a really awesome theme for this Sunday before Labor Day. Just as it is. The synergy of divine mind and divine timing. On Friday, in one of those temporary homes that is my brother's home, my friend Rev Sue came to stay with me while my brother and his wife were out of town for a couple of days. And we had some mutual sermon writing time together. Different rooms of the house, we'd meet in the kitchen to rehash what we were working on. And as I mentioned to her, not surprisingly, this is where my heart was leading me this week. She shared an incredible resource with me, one that she used in a sermon a few weeks ago on the powerful gift of Sabbath time and the many ways that we might find that time in our very busy lives. I'll post it actually because it's a really incredible website, the Green Sabbath Project. I'm going to talk some more about it as I go on. And then that same morning, from another soul sister, Star DiCurcio, who spoke here in June, she sent out an email about a retreat she's leading, inspired in part by a book that she's reading by the theologian Walter Brueggemann, Sabbath as Resistance. Saying no to the culture of now. Divine mind, divine timing, divine guidance. Thomas Merton once stated, to allow ourselves to be carried away by a multitude of conflicting concerns, to surrender to too many demands, to commit oneself to too many projects, And my add-on is even good projects that are doing good in the world. To want to help everyone in everything is to succumb to violence. Is to succumb to violence. It's certainly not only my current slightly nomadic lifestyle that calls out for rest. The call for recognizing the rhythm of work and rest, of night and day, of inhale and exhale, that call to the holiness of stillness, the holiness and grounding of rest, is as ancient as the threads of our humanity and our divinity. Genesis chapter 2, verse 3. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all the work that God had done in creation. Our souls and spirits, our bodies and minds and hearts cry out for a time when we awaken to the presence, because it's always there. Cry out for the time when we awaken to the presence of the Holy One in us and in all of creation. We can affirm, I have unlimited energy and inner strength. But they are only words. If we don't link that affirmation to the practice of time in stillness, time in capital S silence, or as Gordon Hempton, an acoustic ecologist who records natural soundscapes, puts it, silence that is not the absence of something, but the presence of everything. Wow. Come to me. Come to me, you who are weary. God is constantly inviting us into that stillness. Constantly. Come to me, you who are weary. Come to me, and your soul will find rest. What struck me as I dove into the Green Sabbath Project website that Sue shared was the reminder that our rest not only heals our bodies and minds and spirits, our rest also offers healing to the earth. The Green Sabbath Project was founded on the idea that we have a lot to do with the havoc that is happening in our green earth. And there is a lot of nothing we could do to protect her. From their homepage, is there nothing you can do about the environment? Nothing may be one of the best things you can do. One day every week, do nothing. Take a weekly day of rest. Make it a real Sabbath. For you, for Earth. Don't drive, don't shop, don't build. Take a walk, eat with friends, play or read with your kids, sing, meditate, celebrate contentment, St. Teresa's prayer. I love divine mind and synergy at work when we don't plan what those prayers will be. Sing and dance in praise of the Lord, in praise of our source. And don't buy anything for one day a week. Mind-blowing. One of the realities of our days in lockdown from COVID was the worldwide lowering of greenhouse gases. the return of birdsong in cities, the clouds of smog that lifted, we had a stark reminder of how our human activity has impacted our Mother Earth and how our inaction might save her as well. 1/3 of Pakistan was covered in floodwaters this week. In Jackson, Mississippi, residents were told not to shower with their mouths open as the city reels under the effects of flooding that destroyed a water treatment facility. Kentucky towns are still recovering, barely, from the effects of their flooding. On the other end are fires and drought and record-breaking heat waves on the west. And even here on the East Coast, on that Friday of our shared sermon writing time, Sue's phone gave her an alert that Gloucester imposed water restrictions because there's drought on the North Shore. Jonathan Schorsch, a founder of the Green Sabbath movement, offers this. Imagine if most of the world's monotheists, those who come from traditions that profess to observe a weekly Sabbath, along with anyone else who cared to, chose for 1 day out of 7 to essentially eliminate their own harm to the environment on a consistent basis. This could prove to be one of the cheapest environmental solutions to at humanity's disposal. In theory, more maximal Shabbat observance could produce a 14.3%, that's 1/7, reduction in carbon emissions without additional spending, without new technologies, or any other unintended then environmental consequences. A 7th reduction just by not doing anything and filling our souls with rest. Win-win. As a whole society, we do harm to ourselves and harm to our earth with our endless, relentless cycles of consuming, of doing, of scrolling through messages, of answering emails, of wearing "I'm so busy" like a badge of honor. Here's the quote from Brigid that Starr shared in her email. I have come to think that the 4th commandment on Sabbath is the most difficult and most urgent of the commandments in our society because it summons us to intent and conduct. Intent and conduct that defies the most elemental requirements of a commodity-propelled society that specializes in control and entertainment, bread and circuses, along with anxiety and violence. And how fascinating to tie that back to Thomas Merton. Not just the violence that's out there, but the violence we do to our own spirits when we ignore the cry for rest. When we ignore the gift of life that rest gives us. If you hold your breath, that last breath in or out, if you don't do the other thing, means you've gone to the other side. We need the inhale and the exhale, the rest and the labor to have the fullness of life that God intends for us, that our source intends for us, that this earth needs from us. And so yes, we can affirm our intent that beholding God in every circumstance helps me know ease. But we are called to conduct, to practices that awaken us to God within and God without, to the holy silence that holds everything. Thich Nhat Hanh puts it like this in Living Buddha, Living Christ. In the Psalms it says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still means to become peaceful and concentrated. The Buddhist term is samatha. Know means to acquire wisdom, insight, or understanding. The Buddhist term is vipassana. I hope I say these well, maybe not. But it means insight or looking deeply. Looking deeply, he writes, means observing something or someone with so much concentration that the distinction between observer and observed disappears. In the silence, we hear God. When we slow down long enough to rest in that silence, then we experience, we don't just say, there is no separation between me and my source. When we slow down into that beingness, then we experience there is no separation between me and my source, between you and me and my source. Be still and know that I am God. Come to me, you who labor, and I will give you rest. Do nothing. Bless the day and make it holy. Or bless the hour, or the 20 minutes, or the walk, or the nap, or the deep listening to a loved one, and make it holy. Over these past few weeks, as I walk my journey visibly from this podium, I've been called to let go of my illusion of control. Thank you, broken water pipe. Let go of my illusion of control and rest in God. Called to choose joy, a joy that comes from resting in my source. Called to come home to that deep awareness that God is everywhere present as love. And that I am called to be the hands and hearts and eyes of God. As I listen to that call, I am most able to lean into gratitude, into calm, into ease, when I remember that I am walking with you, my beloved community. Notice those burdens you felt or that you feel. The burdens you might have called to mind as we began our meditation. Perhaps with compassion now, an area of the world, all of those areas that I listed earlier, where the effects of climate change is wreaking havoc on our earth, on our communities. I listened to NPR on the way here this morning and heard the stories of school children in Ukraine going back to school online because war is still raging in their country. The burdens and losses that we are aware of around us and those that are close to our hearts at home, the losses of loved ones, the sorrows that we carry with us. Pema Chodron offers a simple form of Tonglen on the spot. Tonglen is a Tibetan practice many of you are familiar with. Tong means sending out or letting go. Len means receiving or accepting. But this Tonglen on the spot is a way to just breathe in our awareness of others' suffering and send them peace. And as we do that, our hearts are lightened as well. Breathing in, I come to my source. Breathing out, I lay down my burden. Breathing in, I receive your heartache. Breathing out, I send you peace. I'll end, as I often do, with a prayer poem, this one from Jan Richardson. And as I read it, perhaps breathe into where you find chaos or heartache and send that peace into those hidden places. Here is a blessing in the chaos. To all that is chaotic in you, let there come silence. Let there be a calming of the clamoring, a stilling of the voices that have laid their claim on you, that have made their home in you, that go with you even to the holy places, but will not let you rest, will not let you hear your life with wholeness or feel the grace that fashioned you. Let what distracts you cease. Let what divides you cease. Let there come an end to what diminishes and demeans, and let depart all that keeps you in its cage. Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the peace you did not think possible, and see what shimmers within the storm. May we know that our hearts are yoked in compassion to the eternal and Holy One housed within us. May we breathe in each other's heartaches and breathe out peace and find the blessing of stillness. May it be so. And so it is. Amen.